Hello everyone. By following this video, we will be creating an effective project management scope and schedule document. I hope this video will help you to make a proper scope design, preparation of schedule, and addressing all important elements of scope and schedule document. As we know that we are the second document on which we are working is creating a data center for the organization. If we cross check this background and scope definition that is provided by the client, it is clearly evident that we are supposed to create a data center for the organization which includes 3 primary data centers, 2 for the production purpose and 1 for the disaster recovery, and there are some other key requirements that are existing in the document. By understanding the scope requirement, we will be preparing final project scope, project requirements, identifying project requirements and documenting them. We prepare work breakdown structure, we develop a project schedule, then we develop project milestones and deliverables, and finally we discuss about stakeholder engagement and communication plan. For this document, the first step that is created is development of project schedule. By developing the project schedule, it is possible to create work breakdown structure, project milestones and deliverables, and we can identify information for all other sections of the document. Let us start with developing project schedule. To develop project schedule for a data center, it is very important to know what are the key activities and some of the sub-activities that are included in the project plan. So let me do some Google search and find some of the important activities related to data center implementation for the organization. I have searched for data center implementation project plan and received several resources that clearly provides details regarding the data center implementation, new creation, migration, relocation. There are several aspects. Among that, let me select some of the titles that are very much suitable to our requirement. Based on the review, we have identified, based on the research, main thing is this kind of research helps you to identify most important activities that are associated with the data center design. I know that you people may have written 3 to 4 times already on the same project, but I don't want you to cross check those activities and just paraphrase it to write your content. I want you to learn and identify some important elements that you can I want you to upgrade your knowledge about the data center implementation, because it consists of several important elements that are related to the data center implementation. From my research, I have identified some of the important and different type of different ideas related to the implementation of data center project. Though they are very similar to each other, but the way they plan and implement will differ. Okay. So from this is one kind of activity where it clearly shows what kind of planning meetings are done and what kind of important activities are associated with the project activity and who are associated with the activity. These elements are clearly detailed in this project plan. Some of the important activities include, these task names are given, right? So these are the main tasks. Though it is not clearly given what kind of task it is, what are its milestones, it clearly shows some of the important tasks that will be associated with the data center implementation. So it's a unique way of identifying different tasks. We can segregate these tasks into different categories and we can write about it. This is second plan that I identified from the research. This clearly includes 3 different phases, and the tasks that are mentioned in this document are categorized or clustered or classified based on the type of the activity it is. So first task, first phase or first milestone is initiation, and it consists of 4 important activities: developing project charter, developing stakeholder registry, and forming advisory committee, and forming project team. So it's a simple thing. Like if we don't want to include any activity, you don't want to include. If you don't want to mention about form advisory, you won't mention it. Form project team, if you don't want to mention, you can ignore that. Second one is project planning. This clearly discusses about some of the important activities that will be performed based on the planning. And finally, implementation. In the implementation, there will be different stages. Here we have 4 stages. The 4 stages that are clearly mentioned here, and it contains actual implementation activities. See, most often when we write a project management plan, we mostly focus on implementation phase rather than mentioning project planning related information. The actual part of the work, this will be done by project manager himself. So it is not required to implement a detail about project planning in means planning related time consumption in your project plan. The only work that is related to the implementation that will be mentioned in the Gantt chart. Usually when we create a project schedule, it should contain mostly details regarding implementation. So it is clearly mentioned here what are the important activities that will be performed when we are creating a data center. So you can read, understand, paraphrase and use these steps to complete your data center project plan. Okay, this is one best. You can pause the video and you can cross check what are the important stages that are existing in the implementation plan, and this is one of the best to document. The next one is this is also some this is also very clear and detailed plan related to the data center implementation. It clearly shows 4 important phases of project implementation, that is preparation, designing, acquire and implementation. So here, as this prepare comes under project planning, so we mostly ignore these activities. They will be taken care by the organization. This is actually project work, and design phase and implementation phase are very important, and they are mostly related to they are to be registered in the project schedule. They should be included in the project schedule. And please cross check each activity. First milestone is initialization of the project. It includes some of the important detail regarding that. Next, establish requirements. Next, configuring the solution, developing final proposal, and purchasing the materials that are required. Okay, so these are main activities. Immediately after these activities, we continue with assembly. So we need to, after acquiring all the technologies that are required for deployment of data center, we start with assembly. Assembly means installing all the systems and wires and devices at their respective locations. Then it will include installation by subcontractors like electrical engineers and mechanical engineers, who will be working on providing energy or power to the organization, and installing some mechanical works that are related to lifts, maybe some kind of doors and other things. Okay, engineering related works. Then it also includes third party equipment installation. Next, startup, very correct assembly, verify means this is related to testing. Network integration, so all the devices that are connected on the data center should be connected to each other. And finally, orientation and training. These are the highlighted ones should come as main milestones, and the tasks that are given inside the under the milestone should be considered as subtasks. Okay, so and we need to identify who will be performing this activity. So that is also important, and which task should start after completing which task, means like we need to identify predecessors and successors of the activities. Okay, so let me show you an example of how to include these things in your project Gantt chart. Open your project document. I'm starting with the title of the project. So my project name is installing data center. You can give your own name. You can give your own name. So I just gave it as installing data center. The next task is Initialize Project, and this is subtask of the main project, so I am making it a subtask. Then under that project, so I can rewrite these names. I can rewrite these names, these task names. These are subtasks that come under Initialize Project. Under this activity, we will be doing all these activities. So again, it is subtask. So here you can see give indent to mention it as a subtask. Okay. So what it is given here, assign project management team. Okay. So resource allocation. We call it resource allocation. Or some other name. So we are assigning resources. This is not under initialization project, so I am marking it an indent here. It will come under this activity. So the main project consists of a milestone called or a main task called Initialize Project. Under there are multiple subtasks. Resource allocation is added to that. Next, it is create preliminary project plan. So preparation of project plan. So by default it will be subtask to the Initialize Project. So next we'll add select potential partners. Selection and initiating partnerships. Okay, so it is all done. Next, I will add one more next task. So the next main task is establish requirements. Establish a requirement. I took it as this. We have to make changes to that name. Okay, now as it was mentioned to you, by default it will be shown as subtask. Now what we do is outdent. We do outdent. So we click a left arrow here to make it main task. So now it is an indent backward and outward outdent. We call it outdent, and it is clearly seen that this is the second main activity of completing the project. Creating the floor plan. Develop floor plan design. So now it is not a subtask of established requirement. So what we have to do? Yes, we have to indent it. So now we can see that the main tasks are always in bold in color, and subtasks are in normal form. So in this way, you have to create all the main tasks of the project and subtask details. Okay, and your writing should be unique. From these tasks, you can write all the tasks, or like one or two tasks from this design aspect, and all the tasks from the implementation part. So somebody like if you're okay with writing these things, you can identify these also. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 some important stages that are given here. By understanding these also, you can clearly mention your name. So for example, this we can take as main activity, consolidate management of future states centrally. This is analysis related. This is already done. So what I do is enhance DSS service offering. So this can be your next milestone. Okay, so I'm making it a milestone. Then under that we have some important activities to perform. We can copy paste also. Sometimes it works, sometimes it won't work. Okay, so now here it is not working. So we can copy paste content also, but it is very important for us to rewrite it. So we have to see for this task. This is a subtask. So you can see this under this main activity stage 2. These are some of the important activities that we are performing. So these tasks will come under the main task. Okay, so in this way I want you to create all the tasks. Got it? So you can use this plan or other plan. Otherwise you can search your own plan which clearly differentiates from others' work. Okay, so prepare your document like this. After completing this, you need to identify what is your predecessor. Okay, predecessor is something like a task that should be completed before your selected task should be started. For example, if I want to start this project, okay, if I want to start this task, this ninth task, if it is necessary to finish 3 and 4, 3 and 7, what I do is I will give their numbers here. 3 and 7 should be finished before I start with this task. Here it clearly shows that to start this task and this task should be completed. Understood? So this predecessor task clearly explains which tasks are to be submitted or completed before starting the respective selected task. Okay, so similarly, to start this task, which task should be completed? Maybe this first task should be completed. What is its number? 3. So I will be mentioning its number in predecessors. So this is how it works. Okay, to start this task, fifth task, if it is important that fourth task is to be completed, in 4 predecessors I will be giving 4. Okay, so now again to start this one, if it is a mandatory thing that 5 is to be completed, I will be marking 5 here. And to start this one, if 5, 3 and 7, if all 3 are important, 5, 3, 7, we can give in any sequence, it automatically sets it. Alright, so this is how predecessors can be given. And another important thing is identifying the resources that will be working on the task. It is already explained in the last video during which you have worked creating a scope design for some XYZ organization. You might have already used it. So mostly it is a data center project. So for data center project, we mostly rely on software architects, system engineers, network engineers, network test engineers, these people. So just assume like who will be working on resource allocation. Usually project manager will be working on resource allocation. Who will be preparing the project plan? Project manager will be preparing the project plan. So maybe initialization project will be mostly related to the project manager. Designing the floor plan, maybe it's a network engineer activity, because main hero here is, in this story, the hero is network engineer or data system analyst. Okay, they will be mostly handling with this floor plans, where the server should be kept, where security should be kept, where entrance should be given, where the security channel should be installed. These all things should be prepared. Floor plan should be prepared. Okay, for that maybe if we are depending on a system architect or civil engineer, you can go for a civil engineer also, that's fine. Okay, so in that way you should assess, you should understand the task, and you just assume who will be working on the task and mention their names. Okay, after completing this activity, you will be ready with the complete project schedule, and by this your project schedule, developed project schedule is complete. Okay, this task will be completed. You just take a screenshot, like you can take an image of this one like this. If you click here, okay, just click here, select your all activities and click on this, and go to GIF file. You will remember this name, maybe XYZ. Okay, just click yes. It is already done. So where it is located? Bit documents. So what I do is I will try to search for that. Document name is XYZ. So this is the file. You can see both your Gantt chart and task names in the document clearly. Okay, just copy that file and paste it onto your document. So one more thing we have to do is updating the days, duration, based on your understanding and expectation. You just give numbers before you paste your data. Okay, and the date should be given to the subtask, not to milestones and not to main activity. So only for subtask we will be giving date. When we give time, it automatically increases the length of bars. So make sure you readjust it to normal sizes. So you can select control and scroll up, scroll down to reduce the size of this image. Okay, so just add number of days to this activity and finish this one. And you can also update this bar styles. So select bar style and text, and this is already done by you last time, so try to improve it. Just add some names to this. Schedule date, start, and left side I will add resource names, per percentage, cost, duration. Okay, right, like this. Something you can add any detail, like you can add name of the resource, you can add task name, so you can also add task name. It's all up to you, like what you select. Okay, for task name it is just name. Okay, you can see your task name on the bar charts. Okay, so create a best one, and when it is in this form, you just copy the image and paste it into scope section, and try to brief how many days the project is taking. So here you can see for the whole project, you can see clearly how many days the project takes, when the project is going to start, and when the project will finish. It clearly provides that information. Okay, so just speak about the project and how many days it takes, how long it will be taken to complete the project, when is the start date, when is the end date. All these details can be discussed by you. Okay, after completing the first section, now let us start with the work breakdown structure. Okay, so work breakdown structure is another simple section which does not require much time to complete. Okay, so you just copy these activities. Okay, now come down to Word document, where it is, and copy paste that. Now just remove all the names, maybe, otherwise do one thing. No problem, just copy it. Okay, remove extra information. This is all the extra information, and this is what we call, we are preparing data for creating WBS. Okay, I'm just selecting extra information and removing it. Now I know that these all tasks comes under, so we'll do it later. Okay, so let me make it, these all tasks comes under this one, and under Initialize Project we have 3 tasks. Under Establish we have 1 task, and for these 2 tasks, make that clarity and copy it. Now go to insert section, select smart art, insert smart art, under that select hierarchy. In hierarchy you take first option, just include it. Whatever the information you have selected, just paste it here. Already copied all the details, right? Just paste it here and remove all the extra spaces below. Okay, so now, so this is your data center. Now this is also comes under this section. Okay, so now when you copy paste it, it automatically arrange it to this form. Okay, this is work breakdown structure. Okay, so in 5 minutes you can finish your work breakdown structure, and it is better if you give the first one as 1 and the values, the main headings are there, right? For them, just give them 1.1, 1.2, and next important one is 1.3. Okay, this is one is main task, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 are subtask under it. Again under this one, 1.1.1, 1.1.2, and this is 1.1.3, and this is 1.2.1. These are called work breakdown structure IDs, WBS IDs we are giving. So 1.3.1 and 1.3.2. Now this work breakdown structure is complete, and it clearly identifies all the important subtasks that are associated with project management chart. This document clearly helps us what are the main activities, to identify the main activities of the project and sub activities that can be achievable by the project. Okay, so you just give 50 to 100 words of description about work breakdown structure and just print you just create this design. Now we are done with WBS and project schedule. Now let us work on project milestones. So it is also created out of the main activities. So here close all sub activities and just copy these things. Better you go to Excel. Just copy paste it. Now you have remove the first one. So just these are the main headings. So med center, and these are milestones. Milestones, and you also have details about start date, end date, and milestone name. This is name. This is duration to complete that milestone, and the start and end dates. Okay, these are your milestones. Okay, just name your milestones properly. Just copy this one and paste this here. Okay, you just write some important information. Some of the milestones of project include this and that, and you just name them. So it is very important that your names are unique. Okay, so most of you are committing same mistake, that you are trying to rewrite the old documents and doing plagiarism. That is not a good practice. You just create your own milestones like this. After that, deliverables. When you complete a project, it will definitely have certain deliverables, and before completing the project, it is very important to identify what are the deliverables of your projects, what you are going to finally produce because of completing this project. What is the main purpose of this activity? To create a data center. So definitely the ultimate deliverable will be data center. You just mention the final output is data center. Deliverable 1 is the data center implemented data, or a successfully running data center, or error-free data center that is installed for the organization. It's up to you, like the way you can represent your data center. Okay, so ultimately you will be mentioning that you will be creating a data center. A data center completely installed is your outcome. Next one is to maintain that, to ensure that users use that data center. What project people will do is they create user documents. Okay, simply we say that we call it user guides. Okay, so we will be creating user guides that will be helpful for the people who are using data center after implementation, to know how to use it, to handle when some kind of difficult situations occur, to handle some some risks occur, all these details. Okay, so there are several other documents that we prepare as a part of completing the project. Maybe project plan document is one output. We will be providing them how the project is planned, how it was implemented. It also speaks about financial costs, some other elements. Okay, so project planning documents will be submitted. Project risk management documents will be prepared. Okay, to understand what kind of possible risks can occur to the data center that is implemented for the client, and what kind of issues it can contain, and how some risks occurred can be handled. In this way, we can discuss about some of the important talk about, like, just speak about 2 to 3 important deliverables that we are going to submit to the project. Otherwise, you just cross check your scope. Whatever the scope that is mentioned here, you just try to rewrite in past tense. Implement, like 3 data centers will be implemented for the organization. Next, installation of all the servers. Some of these elements also. So as we are simply mentioning data center, rather than that, we can divide it into different activities that are mentioned here, and you can detail all of them as deliverables. Okay, so by that your deliverable section will be completed. Now final project scope should be explained. The scope is clearly given here. In addition to that, some of the important activities that we have completed here. So we can discuss about each and every activity that is completed here in the scope definition. Okay, so to try to define main milestones that will be performed as a part of your project. Initialization of a project, what kind of work is done. Establishing requirements, what kind of work is done. Enhancing DCS service offering, what kind of work is done. These things should be clearly explained in the final project plan. Hardly I want you to discuss 50 words about each section, and all those sections should be included in the final scope. Then project requirements, it is clearly discussed in the last video itself. Project requirement speaks about time availability, human resource availability, material resource availability, technology requirements. So these all requirements should be discussed. People, if you speak about material requirements, those details are clearly given here. Okay, that you can simply rewrite and mention what kind of materials are required. Then people, I already mentioned while discussing about project plan, they include different types of resources such as civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, most importantly network engineers and network designers, and cloud network consultants, like many different types of people that will be helpful to you. You just cross check what kind of resources are required to manage and successfully run a data center. Okay, we'll understand that. Okay, these two sections, it should be 300 words or 200 plus 200, 400 words. For this section, write 50 and 50 words odd, and for this section also 50 to 100 words. Milestones, not much information is required. For deliverables, write 100 words, and for stakeholder management, 100 odd words. Stakeholder management, so this is a scope and a schedule document, right? It is very important that we need to communicate with stakeholders regarding what kind of information is updated. So initially in the charter, we might have included some basic details. Now we need to communicate stakeholders about different types of details that are updated while preparing the scope and schedule. So what we have to do to communicate these details, what kind of plans you are making. See, for example, if you want to communicate about the meeting schedule and ask your stakeholder to be available for the meeting, what you will do, like we might be doing communication over telephone, maybe you might be emailing them, maybe we might request them to come to organization, so some other thing. Maybe we might be using email communication and telephone communication, right? So we will be discussing about telephone communication. So what you do every week, like before a week of preparing and releasing your scope and schedule document, you will be communicating to your stakeholder through email and telephone, asking them to participate in meeting. Okay, maybe these days because of pandemic impact, there are several other video conferencing tools are available, right? So we can speak about video conferences that we can conduct to explain them what kind of changes we have made in scope, and what is your schedule, how long it takes to complete, what are the important milestones. All these details that are mentioned in the document, you can discuss with them to get approval. So you can conduct a video conference, okay, and while signing the documents, maybe we can go for live presence. Maybe the stakeholders should come to organization and have a board meeting, then they will be accepting the project like that. So we can have a board meeting on XYZ date or someday, okay. So they can have a board meeting, or they can digitally sign the document. So these all communications should be planned Okay, we are supposed to discuss about those stakeholder engagement and communication plans in the document. So try to write hardly 200 words on that, maximum 200 words, 100 or to 200 words is enough. You are supposed to identify key things. So what type of communications you are making, how it happens, and what kind of detail will be communicated to the target person. Okay, this is all about your document. Everything is clearly explained, I guess. Try to give your best work, and I expect just 600 words out of the document. 150, 150, 300 words, 50, 350 words, and another 50 words, 400 words. Nothing is required here, and 150, 150, 300. So total 600 to 700 words document on this. All right. Thank you, team.